What is a perfect
好きと
story?
いえば好きですけど、
What could
結
be
構
known
嫌いなところもあります。
as a perfect
嫌いな
story?
ところはどんなところですか？
What defines a perfect
自分
story?
が出てるところ。
What do you know? You don't know anything about me! You're just a stranger!
How disgusting. I remember as a child, I played with kings and queens. I remember growing older, losing childish things. I remember you, yet I want to remember love. And I do, and I do, and I do.
Okay, so first things first, spoiler announcement. If you haven't watched Evangelion, go on, please do me a favor and go and watch it. Like, it's one of the greatest shows out there, right? Mainly because it's an experience that needs to be spoiled when you're really talking about it. Like, I can't really talk about it without spoiling much. So yeah, now, that said, let's talk about Evangelion and why it's in my opinion, a perfect story. So at the very start, for the intro, I specifically use that clip where Hideaki Anno states the bits that he doesn't like or he hates essentially are the bits where he sees himself. That is a perfect story. That is how you create a perfect story. We all know, but if you didn't, let me just say it now. We all know that Arno was going through a really rough time creating Evangelion. Trying to essentially find an outlet or a way out of his mindset through Evangelion. Arno created a perfect story. You won't find that with most, only a set, generational artists can do that. What Arno did was something that really set a ripple effect across the whole niche of just storytelling. In fact, I would say Evangelion in terms of popularity is literally insane. You wouldn't expect it to be as big as it is. I'm pretty sure won some awards as well. But briefly, let's talk about the story. It's about Shinji, a character who is extremely depressed, and not really depressed, but more or less has this thing which they call in the story called the Hedgehog's Dilemma. So it's essentially a theory, well, not really theory, a way of thinking that when you get too close to people, you start to hurt yourself, or you start to feel hurt, or could you don't want that pain, so you stay away essentially. And as hedgehogs do, they bundle together, it'll kind of hurt. So yeah, that's the whole parable essentially. But that's what Shinji represents. He is the hedgehog's dilemma, and he has the role of piloting Evas. Now he has the choice, but he doesn't know what choice to make, because it's either one hand impress his father or other hand run away. But his father is completely evil, so it's we don't really know about that, but he wants to impress his father. I watched the episodes, and then I watched the 5 movies. I watched End of Evangelion and then the 4 rebuilds. Those were amazing, literally amazing. I was gonna watch Evangelion a while ago, and I thought the reason why it was so popular was because of the animation. I'm not gonna lie, I thought the animation was what oh my god, it's so amazing. For example, Akira is known for its animation. The story is really good, don't get me wrong, but it's known for its animation being so causing a ripple effect throughout the industry of Japanese culture. But when I watch Evangelion, don't get me wrong, the animation is good, but it's not its strongest point. The strongest point is the story. And then when I found out more about the story, I was like, this is literally a perfect story. You don't get stories like this as much anymore, you know. Shinji is a character that embodies someone, embodies a real person. That's why it feels real. Like, this is a story that can be told to anyone. Feelings of the author is being questioned, right? And he's putting that question to us as well. That is literally perfect. Someone is going through someone is going through something. They're gonna ask other people to help them. He is asking us through Neon Genesis Evangelion, or he's finding out the way out through Evangelion. Who does that? That's like creating an art piece. You know what that is? That's creating an art piece for yourself. You know, when I'm talking to other people, you always say this: artists or creatives, right? I'm not just say artists because I feel like creatives can like learn a lot from this as well. Imagine if I'm not recording. I am recording. All right, just to double check. But creatives can learn a lot from this as well. There's this like line of artists, right? You either create art for yourself, create art to be, you know, commercialized for the public, so mainly just for the public, not really for yourself. And there's in the middle. Most artists nowadays, I would even argue that they're not even near the middle. I'd say they're way more to the commercial side. Something like Neon Genesis Evangelion was way to the artist side, yet it was publicly admired. It's like an anomaly. Perfect story. I don't know if you understand. It's a perfect story. Arno created this for himself, like not for the public, for himself. I'm pretty sure it's like a 90-10%. Obviously, as editors, this and that, you know, but it's really just for himself. So it makes him more on the artist side of the scale, right? Yet it still found huge commercial impacts. Most artists nowadays are way to the commercial side and they're not creating art for themselves. Now that isn't a bad thing, right? Let me get that straight. That's not a bad thing. It's just more or less, you know, if you got a job, you're doing your job. That's completely fine. I'm talking about more or less just creative. Like, when you are creating an art piece, why are you creating an art piece? Again, if you're doing a job, that's a job, that's different. But if you're like, you got free time creating an art, creating a story, why are you doing that? Are you doing that because you want that recognition from others publicly, or are you doing that because you've had an experience or something that you want to share so much that you do not care whether it does well publicly or not? You're creating an art piece. That's kind of like that's a true artist, because those true artists will, no matter what, get publicly admired. Like, even if you didn't create it for the public, it will get publicly admired. That's the type of stories that do well. Perfect stories, perfect art pieces. You can talk about like Van Gogh, Picasso, all for themselves. Reasoning because obviously the times they were in, they were creating art because they needed people to understand the times they were in. Yet they did like amazing publicly. They were admired by everyone publicly. Evangelion is a perfect story because it uses that concept to its like maximum potential. Yeah, you know, I also, you know, the animation was beautiful as well. Let me talk about that quickly. There were two cuts that, especially, I think the best movie in terms of animation was 3.0 plus 1.0. And I think that's just because it's more recent. But it was like, there was two cuts that I can remember off the top of my head. One of them is where Asuka force feeds Shinji. That camera movement, by the way, that's all 2D. Initially I thought it was 3D. I did some research, that was all 2D. The way the camera moves on this plane as if it's like 3D is amazing. You can feel the anger in Asuka and the unwillingness to do anything from Shinji. Amazing. And there's a second cut where Shinji realizes that his father's gone basically mad, and they're like talking stuff out, talking like truths, a battle of truths. And he's like, it's like a really cool psychedelic scene where like we let get, if I can find it, I'll show. But it's like really amazing. Stuff like that just motivates me to create stories that are just for myself. Not like I don't care about my audience, but even not care about audience is another thing as well, because some artists really don't care. They really just do it for themselves, and that's something that I admire, because you love yourself. You want yourself to grow. You want yourself to be a better person. You don't care about the audience. You want yourself to be a better person, and that's how you make, in my opinion, perfect stories. I can give a quick example, but I don't want to spoil too much. My short film that I'm creating, I am creating it 2 reasons actually, because I want to create more films, 1, and 2, for something that I would say not necessarily I'm going through, but I'm experiencing that I need to find an outlet, and that's how I first will be more passionate about it, and will create a story that might end up being amazing, hopefully. But yeah, when you're talking about creating stuff, you should always be focusing on really yourself, because that's how you create the best. You're not going to create something if you're focusing. You're not going to create something good for yourself if you're focusing on others. Your only competitor should be yourself. The only person you compare to should be yourself. I see so many people just copying, finding ways to impress each other, that it's just like, man, we've, like, as a generation, we've changed so much, which leads me to something really important, actually. Really important. I saw this art piece, and I liked it, then scrolled away, and then scrolled back. I was like, wait. Why can't I just appreciate this art form? Like, why can't I appreciate the strokes? Why can't I appreciate the way he uses red here? Or the way, I don't know, he uses the highlights here. Why am I so quick to like and just leave? I don't know. And it really struck me. I was like, I need to find a way that I stop unanalyzing art and just literally light scroll. Like, it's too much. It's like, it literally is overstimulation. I am literally consuming too much art pieces, or too much, like, pieces of media at once, and not really sitting back and thinking about it. Not like, no shade to this artist at all, but I'm pretty sure he, like, did he make it for that intent? I don't know. But like, yeah, I really decided, like, I'm gonna take a step back and kind of just analyze art a lot more, in the sense of, like, what was he feeling? Feelings, this and that. Like, it really, once you start analyzing stuff like that, you really start to understand the reasons behind things. Like, for example, we're talking about Evangelion here. Instead of just appreciating it for what it is, appreciate it for, like, why. Like, ask that why instead of, like, what. Ask that why. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, I miss it already. Like, I'm already looking back at it like, man, I wish I was more, but yeah, I really want to create something like that, where I'm essentially creating it for myself, in the hopes that, not in the hopes that others will appreciate, but in the hopes that I get I grow as a person, I become a better person. So yeah, all we need to do really is become lost in your works. Once you narrow down what you really want to improve in life, those will be the best ones. But yeah, Evangelion really hits. I can give you a few more examples of stuff that I've recently consumed, medias that I've consumed that I've really proved this point. Okay, first thing is Perfect Blue. I recently watched Perfect Blue, and it's easily one of my top 5 movies of all time. Easy top 5 movies of all time. Easy, like, no questions. By Satoshi Kon, right? He created that story. It's basically the same reason, not the same reason, but the same concept of why Arno created Eva. Same concept. He had something to say. He had something he was going through. He had something that he could maybe, deliberate a lot more on. And he created a story on it. And it was amazing. Perfect story. Perfect Blue. Another example, quite recently, Oppenheimer. Obviously, the times we're in, people at the top have a bit too much power. I can't lie, they have a bit too much power. Oppenheimer takes that concept of creating a story based on its times. Not just, this time it's not the person, but it's more or less the times we are in. Especially the ending, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. But especially the ending hits, because it really proves this whole concept that the times we are in are very dangerous, and people at the top have way too much power, and anything could happen at any time. Yeah. Oppenheimer really takes that concept and creates a perfect story, because it challenges us to think about it. You can't just sit back and watch Oppenheimer and be like, oh, nice movie. No, you're gonna think about that movie. Same thing with Perfect Blue. You're not gonna be like, oh, nice movie. You're gonna be like, what did I just watch? Same thing with Evangelion. You're gonna be like, what did I just watch? Another thing as well that is very important is that creatives, or more or less storytellers, I'm gonna be a bit specific, but more or less storytellers do, is that they over exaggerate it. So for example, we're talking about Evangelion, we're talking about depression, Hedgehog's Dilemma, all these concepts. They take those basic ones where you, like the basic one, you'll just be sad, right? They turn it into story and like scale it times 10. We're scaling it from just depression to saving the world. No. This isn't depression. This is saving the world. That's what good storytellers do. Obviously, you know, you got your anomalies, and I didn't actually think of one. I want you to give me one. Give me an anomaly, because I couldn't think of one. Like, is there any story out there that doesn't take basic themes and scales them and essentially creates that perfect concept of a story? Is there one? I don't know if there is one. Like, I'm trying to think of like the best stories out there. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That's I mean, that kind of is like, I don't know, maybe I don't know, but like I'm trying to think of anomalies to that, like where the author would essentially create a story just for like commercial reasons, not for himself at all, and it will do it like really well. I don't know, like everyone has a reason, and when you find that reason, and specifically talking to artists now, like specific artists, when you find that reason, like your works will just become so much more. You'll feel free to create work. You wouldn't feel like tied down by, you know, what other people who believe. You know, things like imposter syndrome exists, where you think like you're odd one out. I've had that as well, but like I've gotten over it by just creating work that I feel like is good for me. I don't care if it's good for you, but if it's good for me, it's probably good for you too. That's all I'm gonna say. You know. But yeah, Evangelion is a beautiful story that I really hope that you do consume. I didn't really talk much about it because I said spoilers, but like I really want you to go and watch it. And if you have, let me know, you know, what you thought about it. But you know, the whole like over exaggeration on like the world ending where Ray becomes massive, or where Gendo literally has that thing in his head. Yeah, you know, it's a story that you really have to like. After it, you're like. Literally. So yeah, you know, go watch Evangelion. This is episode 1 of Zaskaii TV. I don't know how well it did, but all I want to do on this channel is just yap as much. I don't want to make this no like edited high quality. Only the intros I'll do that, but like I don't really have the time to like go too hard on, you know, the qualities of these videos, but I do hope that they are of good quality, you know. But yeah, go watch Evangelion. Go create stories that impact you, because they will impact others. They impact you, because people got the same questions that you do. You don't realize like when you're going through something, like a bunch of other people are going through it as well. So when you create something that helps yourself, it helps other people too. Those are the best stories. I create a perfect, in my opinion, okay, this is all opinionated, but in my opinion, I believe I'm happy to call Perfect Blue, Evangelion, Oppenheimer, Makima all perfect pieces of art. Perfect, no flaw, flawless. I'm out. Have a nice day. I'll catch you in a bit ski. Alright, bye. I'm going.